Hi everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube, or welcome back. If this is your third Doom Patrol Season 3 episode review, hope you're doing well and staying safe out there, as always, with you. This is the last of our Doom Patrol weekend. I'm posting this a little bit later because honesty is the best policy. I was planning on recording the third episode review on Friday. I did the first two on Thursday of its release, so that was my initial plan, and then something happened on Friday, so I was not in the best state to record the third episode review, or nevertheless watch it, because I'm pretty sure I would have forgotten about it. So the plans for me to do it on Saturday, but then I was at the Global Citizen Live Festival in New York, which was an amazing experience. But however, by the time I got home, it was about to be midnight, so watching the episode and recording it was going to be like, again, at 2 a.m. recording. I'm like, I shouldn't do that. So I just ended up watching the episode and just passing out. And here I am, first thing in the morning, recording the review. So I apologize for the delay. I wanted to do this here now because I didn't want to wait till Tuesday, because tomorrow the rookie comes back and I'm really excited for that as well. But till then, let's go through this. So now that it's so weird that HBO Max does these 3 episodes premieres. It's a little bit weird for me because, I don't know, like, wouldn't it be smart to save it, like, build up the suspense week to week? I don't know why. This is an HBO Max decision, whatever they're doing. Seems to be working. So now that we hit the final of the 3 premiere episodes for Doom Patrol, how did it rank up? Honestly, with everything going on this week, I think this definitely feels like I'm home. Because I was very vocal on the first 2 episodes that episode 1 made some very interesting choices with how they wrapped up the season 2 stuff, and then the last episode I reviewed was kind of like, it didn't feel like the same to me. This one, despite it being, by the way, it's completely obvious this is setting up a spinoff. Even there were reports that they were going to film a spinoff, but I'm actually surprised they didn't announce it yet. I'm pretty sure they're going to announce it at some point during the week that they're going to work on a spinoff, because half the premise of this episode, which was I'll get to that more in the Butcher Recap, is introducing a whole new set of people, definitely sets up the premise of, like, yeah, these characters are going to have their own stories, because, like, just the way, like, obvious writing and just the way, like, they really put effort into this casting, they definitely have expectations of, like, yeah, we're going to, like, do a spinoff for that. And honestly, so far this is the best episode of the season thus far. It's so weird. Like, this is just the perfect balance of, like, we got the comedic stuff, but as well as there's, like, we're actually getting to some story, and we're actually, like, you know, touching more or less, like, touching into these characters once again. I wouldn't really say this fits into, like, whatever the storyline of the season is going to be. We don't know what the through line is yet. We know this this woman right here is going to be, however she's connected to everything, she is going to be somehow leading into the story of the season, but we don't know that quite yet. So maybe it was a right idea. We'll see how next week goes. But anyway, let's go through the Butcher Recap and talk about this week's episode of this episode of Doom Patrol. We're still on the same week. Anyway, we begin with our the ramifications of last week's actions. Cliff, Rita, Jane, and Cyborg are all dead, and they're all on a boat, and I'm just thinking to myself, why are we in a Viking-ish boat? I mean, did we go into Vikings, which I never watched before, but seems like a good show since it went for 6 seasons on a freaking History Channel. So they're on the way there, and I don't entirely remember the reason why they how they got there. I think something happens to them, and I believe they all, like, I know Cliff, Jane, and Cyborg all pass out. Rita's the only one who was, like, somewhat alive-ish. Well, not alive. Well, they're all alive-ish. They're in Purgatory, or what we'll later call the Tunnel of Spirits, where it's like, this is the transition process to go to the afterlife. So that's kind of where they are right now, and they get taken by this, like, weird henchman, like, looking demons, and they're just, like, really creepy in design. So I believe so they all get taken in. Rita's the only one that is somewhat conscious, and when she wakes up from her, well, eventually one of them discovers she's alive, and they knock her out, and then she wakes up in, like, a little bit of a chain, like one of those, like when you're hanging meat in a meat freezer, something like that. Rita wakes up and looks around, and everyone else is like still passed out, still like not 100%, and she's like really wondering what the hell's going on. Where am I? And then someone from above, like this deformed human figure, pulls her up, which is like, damn, he's got mad strength to lift up. Like, I'm pretty sure 120-pound, 125 lady. Now you could say like her powers are like maker weightless, but let's just say like let's just say that. So he helps her escape, but they split off, and she starts running away from the henchman, and then we cut the black, and we return back to the house. Which I think I forgot to mention last week's review. I know Larry was up in space, with the negative spirits of his realm. The one thing I did forget to mention from that review is that for some reason Larry comes back to Earth, this time sans negative spirit. So I'm thinking to myself, wait, so does that mean Larry's going to die? Or is this going to like a similar case to damn, it's already been like an episode. I already forgot about Timothy Dalton's character. Niles. Like, is he eventually gonna die now that he doesn't have the negative spirit to keep him immortal anymore? Like, what's up here? Because is he gonna start aging normally? Like, we don't know the questions to these answers. Hopefully, we'll find. Well, we don't know the answers to these questions, so hopefully, we'll figure that out soon. So he's back on Earth, sans negative spirit, so he has no powers. He's just literally a guy in bandages. He gets a knock on the door. He presumes that he's still in like this simulation or something because he's in the house alone. He goes outside, he finds 4 packages, and these 4 packages comes with the deceased bodies of all his friends. And he's so traumatized that he just doesn't know what to really do. And then Dorothy actually does show up. Apparently, yeah, so the explanation for why she wasn't here last week is she actually just went to the Yukon to bury her dad. And I'm just thinking to myself, wait, so they let a little girl travel with a freaking dead corpse to the North Yukon, and then coincidentally leaves at the same time that not Crowley comes in to bury up his deceased head. Okay, the weird stuff has happened in the world, Ted. Weird stuff. Larry fills in on Dorothy that they're all dead, but he thinks that they still have a chance to be alive, so he decides to wrap them up in bandages to preserve them. And I thought keeping Niles' body somewhat still not decomposing with freaking ice around it was kind of fucked up enough. Just seeing Larry like purposely tie up all the dead body pieces of his friends, that was kind of a little messed up. And even Dorothy pointed out like, yo, this is not right, man. This is not right. And I was also surprised Dorothy didn't cry, because like she's had a very bad few weeks. Like, her dad just passed away, and now like 4 out of her 5 friends that she has left in the world are gone too. But thankfully, Dorothy keeps a level head. It's like, you know what? Let's go make some pancakes. Let's calm down a little bit. Let's get some food in her system. Which is ironic, because I had pancakes for breakfast this morning. Because another thing about the festival I went to, I could not get food because me and my friend, our spots standing up, sad to say, we were boxed in. So by the time we were even feeling a little bit parched, I wasn't really hungry during the night. I was more like thirsty. We were boxed in. So if I was to like get the hell out of there and come back, I would have lost my spot, and I would have been stationed on the way back. So I was not 100% fed last night. So Dorothy tries to make the pancakes, but then she's starting to feel the emotions of losing them finally. So Larry takes over, and then Larry gets like a brief like pancake face batter image of Rita, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I'm actually surprised I forgot about that moment when I was making pancakes to this. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I would have lost my appetite by that point. But Larry assumes like, they're alive. We need to find them now, so we need to contact someone who can help us. And Dorothy's like, I know the perfect team. But we'll get to that perfect team in a moment, because we're gonna catch up on everyone else. So while Rita's still wandering the tunnel of spirits, for the other 3, they're in their own purgatories before they're supposedly going to be admitted to the afterlife. So Cliff is in his purgatory. He's just in a forest area, and he runs into his father. Cyborg is in like a mountain quarry looking area with mostly jogging related, and he finds his mother, who passed away when he became Cyborg. Well, when he had his accident that led him to become Cyborg. And Jane in the original persona, the personality, I think they named her Kay, I believe. I want to say. I forgot already what the name is. I'm just gonna call the original. They head over to this old country mini. It's a small house where the original's grandmother lives. When like the entire backstory we got last season, with how she got into the whole like independence route. The grandma who took care of her, they went to her house in Purgatory. So they're all there. They have to be there to learn a valuable lesson before supposedly they either cross over or they continue on. So they're there right now. So the persons Dorothy decided to call over is called the Dead Brothers Detectives. No, Dead Boys Detective Agency. Which is kind of a weird name, to be honest with you. Like, because, so the premise of this team is that, so it's 3 people. It's the face of the agency. I forgot their names already. They're newbies. If they get a spinoff and I do a review series, I'll remember their names. They're just too new for me to actually remember. But so the 2 boys of the name are dead. So they died decades ago. But for some reason they're still wandering the earth as a ghostly presence. And their face, the girl, yeah, she's a girl. They're about like 18 or something like that. They're still pretty hella young. She's the face because like she's the only living member left, and she's kind of like the one who's like actually communicating with the authorities, with the injured, the victims, that sort of thing. So they're in London solving a case, and honestly, I like their banter. I really do. Their banter is kind of like. It's your traditional mixed up, messed up, like faux family. Like we'll get to more of that in a little bit later in the episode. That they're a family. They've been doing this for quite a while now, and you know they all care about each other in their own ways. You know, some being more broody and more like closed up, but you can tell they care about each other. But their progress in that case takes a backseat when Danny the living streak comes in and as a hospital truck to pick them up. And so there's 3 of them. There's the actual detective, the one who like really knows like the lore, really knows how to like really solve the mystery. The guy with the backpack with all the weapons, because you always need that with the team, and the face the face of the company or the agency. The weapons dude knows Danny, and they say, you know what, we should go with him. Usually it leads us to like we need to be somewhere. And they say, you know what, screw this case. We'll come back to it later. Let's go with Danny and head over to the Doom Patrol Manor, where, again, Larry's unimpressed because the 2 boys immediately insult him, but they assume they weren't able to hear, because another thing about these ghosts is that they can only be seen by people who have experienced death or have been around so much death that their eyes are literally trained to see ghosts. So Larry being, well, just this episode alone, we know what the hell happened, so they're able to see them, but Larry's really not impressed with just any of them, so he's about to leave, but Dorothy decides to let them in, accept the case, like, I'll pay whatever you want. If Danny recommends you, you must be the best that we can get. So they enter in, they're getting the gist of it. Even all 3 of them is just like mocking Larry. It's like, why did you do this? Why did you bandage these poor people up? Like, they didn't want to do this. Larry's like, you know what? I know that now, but I was just grieving. It has not been the best 24 hours for me, which fairly so, he is right about that. So the whole plan is that they assume that they're still alive, considering the fact that Rita's face came out of the pancake bag. So there's a decent chance their souls are still alive. So there's still a chance to bring them back to the body. And obviously Dorothy and Larry wants all of them to come back. So in order to do that, they have to connect with them. They have to contact them first to see if they're even still alive. So, in Rita's case, they have to transmit a seance, because also she is able to allow spirits to become like hosts in her body. But we'll get to more of that in a second, why she doesn't do that often anymore. But she has the power to channel that energy through to someone else. So they use Larry as the point that Rita's going to use to kind of transmit her soul or her spirit. Eventually, yeah, Rita does. No, actually, wait, no. I'm really lost. I skipped ahead a little bit, because like when Rita was in the chains, I assumed we got the whole same sequence of her being pulled out. But no, she was still in the chains, so it still applies there. She was still in the chains when Larry eventually does contact her, and then when she does take over Larry's body. But then that's when this disfigured human figure shows up and pulls her out of it. But it is a clue that, yeah, Rita's still alive, her spirit's still alive. They need to go get her. However, the agency is like, okay, we figured out they are still alive, so we did your matter, we'll bill you, and we're out of here. Because to save them, they have to go into the Tunnel of Spirits, which neither of them want to do, but the ghost managed to leave, but she stays behind because she can't freaking apparate and face through the wall. She can't do that. And they're just begging her, listen. Well, Dorothy begs her, like, listen, it's been a very rough few weeks for me. I lost my dad. My mother passed away years ago. These people are all I have left. And there's something about her, like the woman that strikes a core for Dorothy's words. So she decides, well, yeah, we're going to stay and help. The boys are just like, no, this is the wrong idea. We're literally going to the tunnel of death. And, death's still after us. So I cannot be anywhere near them. But thankfully they decide, you know what, screw it, let's do it. We're here to help people. They need us now, really, so they accept to go in. However, they still need an extra set of hands, so they got to bring Larry involved. But Larry is not dead, so how do you bring Larry along for the ride? Apparently, there's still a thing, and I have not heard this terminology in forever in anything in real life or in show. The art of astral projection. So they need to they don't want to kill Larry, but they need to get his spirit out so that they're able to go together to the Tunnel of Spirits. So they get out this weird blueprint looking thing, and Larry's just supposed to look at it. I'm assuming like, okay, the lines are gonna like disconnect his soul from his head, and that wasn't happening for a moment. But then they start to hit Larry in the back with a baseball bat, and his spirit like just pops out. It pops up, and Larry's just thinking this absolutely simple. And so the boys and Larry head off into a mirror to get into the Tunnel of Spirits, while Dorothy and the other woman stay behind to monitor the progress, see if it is working. Plus, Dorothy brought along some other items that connect to Larry. Damn, I'm really jumping over on Cliff, Cyborg, and Jane. So to catch up with them. Cyborg is using this chance right now with his mom. They're going to try and make amends, to like apologize to her about, I'm sorry that, the accident killed you. I'm sorry that, all this happened. He feels like it's his fault, but like all mothers do, she tells him, no, it's not your fault. It just happens, but it does create a conflict of interest for when Cyborg does come out of it, that his dad turning him into Cyborg was not the only option they had, but that was the option he wanted to do, which kind of confuses Cyborg, like, wait, what does that mean? Like, what's going on? And, he wants to know more, but because of time limitations, he doesn't get to get those answers. But he is able to tell her about the girl he liked from last season, the one he saved earlier this season. His mom's, like, very happy. He's like, oh, you found love. And, oh, yeah, Ronnie's her name. And, he's happy about it, but, it's another conflict of interest that he is a superhero, and she's kind of, like, acting like a villain, but she's not really a villain. She's just kind of lost right now, so he's trying to find the line to play, to balance all of them out, and he's still struggling with it. He really is. Cliff as his dad has not been progressing well, and, like, let's do the makeup front, because Cliff is a very bullish, very hard-headed human being. If he doesn't like something, he doesn't believe in something, immediately you're probably never gonna change his mind. But the fact that really pisses him off more because, well, first, his dad actually shoots at like a flying horse from the sky, and I'm just like, damn, you have no real interest in the majestic creatures, do you, Papa Clint? You really don't. But another piece of information that Cliff didn't know about, I'm not sure if this popped up in season 2, I'm not really sure, they probably just added this in last minute to the lore, but so at some point after Cliff, didn't die, like everyone assumed he died, but then he became a robot, and then his wife died. At some point, Cliff's daughter got back in touch somehow, for some way, with Cliff's dad. So they had some sort of like really good relationship going, like an actual nice, sweet, organic relationship. And Cliff's mad because like he didn't really get that that sort of love when he was his son when he was a kid. So now he feels pissed that like his daughter got it, but also that they have this relationship, and Cliff refuses to believe in it. So for him, he's like, okay, I'm going to do an extremely even better job with that with my own grandson. So screw you, Papa, screw you. As for Jane, the original personality might be named Clay just having fun, catching up online, like actually being a kid again. Jane has an honest conversation with the Abuelita, and the Alloy did have some regrets that, she didn't do much to try and get them back after the dad took them away from her, and just living with regret that, like, whatever other pains she went through, like, she wasn't able to be there to protect her, and Jane could relate, since there's a lot of time where she was kind of like the main personality and she had to protect her, but there's a lot of times where she failed to do that. So Jane is also in her position, and she's wondering, like, can I do this anymore? Like, is this the time to finally, drop out and, like, actually get to move on? And, the Abigail is like, no, not yet. Maybe, we don't know. Like, life throws us with different surprises. And did my microphone disconnect? I can't read it. Oh yeah, sorry. I got a notification on my computer. I'm like, oh my god, my microphone disconnected again. I'm like, Jesus, no, not again. But no, thankfully not. So they're playing some games later, and James decided, what, maybe we could stay here. Maybe we can, like, live this life of, like, stillness and peace. But Abu does, like, more honest. Or like, nope, it's this is only a pit stop. Like, this is not meant to be your forever place. You have to go to the afterlife fully and see where you end up. I'm just here to, like, be your transitional point, which kind of did upset Jane and Kay, since they were kind of hoping this would be their new life, just living in peace, eating cookies, and, enjoying some milk with cinnamon, which does sound honestly goddamn tasting right now. But through all three of these moments, the item that Dorothy found that connects with them appears in their purgatory state, and it pulls them out of it back into the chain area. And they're all just trying to figure it out. And once again, Cliff fashion. Cliff refuses to die. He manages to get free of one of the chain, pushes himself up through one of the grids and find all the henchmen surrounding him. And again, I love Brendan Fraser just saying his traditional fox. It's just it's so hilarious. It really is. I love Cliff so much. I really do. So Larry and the boys are traversing through the many layers to get to the spirit tunnels. We're getting a little bit more backstory about them. That they died at such a young age, but for the face of the detective, the older guy in the group, the one who died like a little bit later than the other, he did manage to go to the tunnel of spirits, but he somehow managed to escape, which is why the Death's looking for him, because, like, he cheated her. Like, he's supposed to be in the afterlife, but he's still living on Earth. Well, not 100% living, but still roaming the Earth. So there's a lot for them to do the traverse. They have to sacrifice some pain. They have to cross this river-like area. There's just a lot of complex steps just to get to a freaking tunnel. Back on the surface, Dorothy also brings out another sort of memento item, a bar of chocolate, which he had kind of hoped to, like, use her to communicate with Niles from the dead, because, like, they never really had a chance to properly say goodbye to each other because of just everything with the candle maker. So he was kind of hoping that would be the case, but she doesn't get to do that for her. But the only reason, like, she does admit the only reason, like, she decided to change her mind and stay to help them out with the whole getting everyone back matter was that when Dorothy mentioned she lost her dad recently, and then also her mom passed away many years ago, and she's kind of like without parents, it kind of struck a chord with her, because at one point or another years ago, she did have parents with presumably a good life, but then this demon or this devil took over her body for a year, and, like, she did so many horrible shits while she was being under control by this demon, that by the time the dead boy showed up to help her out, the demon took all of her memories of her parents. So she knows a lot about it herself, but she doesn't know anything about her parents, which her goal now in life is to find that demon during her travels with the dead boys in order to get her memories back somehow. So again, this all sets up really great for another show. This sounds all really great. So I think from that point onwards, we get back to the Tunnel of Spirits. Rita manages to outrun some of the henchmen is hiding. Larry and the dead boys show up, and they reunite, and thankfully, somehow Cliff, Jane, and Cyber manage to kick the asses of the henchmen, even decapitating their heads during the fight, which the dead boys are like, why did you do that? You made a really dumb choice, because all you did was attract even more problems to us, which comes in the form of not Crowley's mother, another supernatural veteran playing a new character, which I'm just like, I was not wearing my glasses when I was watching this episode last night, I had to squint and like, is that her? Is that not Crowley's mother? And it is, and I'm like, damn, this is freaking awesome. Now, when do we get Sam and Dean on this show? Like, they gotta come on at some point. Come on, they got it. Maybe not, probably. They're busy in the Walker stuff and the boys. So, eventually they realize they have to fight him. The guy with the backpack starts ramming her with a baseball bat, which deforms her, like, face from, like, looking somewhat pleasant to more like a demonic presence. So that doesn't really last them that long. The deformed human figure shows up and decides to kind of hold her back while the rest escape, which they do. And thankfully they all manage to get on the boat and escape, leaving everyone else, the henchmen and the main, not Crowley mother's demon spirit, to groan that like they had all this fresh meat and they're all getting away. And she decides to fire up an acid rain shot, but it wasn't acid. Thank God. I was about to say, like, damn, that would have been a very depressing way to end off the episode. Another death scene. So it works. Everyone's back in their bodies. You know, the mystery's done. Well, not the mystery. The job's done. Everyone's fine. Back to normal. They enjoy a little mini feast in celebration. Rita and Larry catch up for a little bit about everything, and they don't get really into deep that much, but they still have a lot of issues to work through once today passes. The Dead Boy Agency is about to leave with Dorothy in tow, because Dorothy is still in need to figure out what's next for her. Because, like, yeah, she has a family here at the manor, but, you know, maybe she needs to get out there, explore, do things with people her age. Because, like, yeah, she is a teenager now, in a sense, so why not else hang out with other young adults that are also considered teenager? Why not? That would be a fun, you know, series of adventures, and, you know, that would probably take dozens of adventures to figure out the mysteries for these characters. So the Doom Patrol guys are like, you know what? Go do you. This actually works out very better. We are not parental figures at all. So we're going to leave you with a bunch of teenagers and young adults that also don't know how to be parental figures. So go have fun with them. Literally, I don't even know what Niles would be even thinking right now. Like, to let his daughter, who's still, like, figuring out her powers, like, we haven't forgotten about that yet. She still needs to be 100% in control of what she can do. But this would be fun, you know. Let her go do her own adventures. That doesn't mean that she'll probably be the anchor point to come back to Doom Patrol at some point in the line, should the spinoff not go off well. So they leave. So the Doom Patrol's like, finally, we're kind of done here. We can finally relax just a little bit, but no. It turns out that woman from the last 2 episodes at the end show up. She's been living in the house all this time. No one's just noticed already, like, where the hell was she? She just comes downstairs, passes for the Doom Patrol, was about to make some tea, and everyone's like, who the fuck are you doing in our house? And she's like, that's a very good question. Who wants some tea? And that's where we end the episode. Oh, God, I gotta go to the dentist. I don't know. So, even though Doom Patrol did a lot this week, it felt weird. Like, you know, this was the most stuff they did. Putting 3 of the characters through yet another chapter of, like, figuring out their personal demons and their inner workings. As well as dealing with, like, we're setting up a spinoff. Which is kind of, like, very weird, because, like, for me, it's, like, when it comes to superhero properties, like, obviously when you do, like, a Supergirl spinning off for Superman Lois, like, obviously that makes sense. Like, you know, those are big name characters. You could spin out Arrow to Flash. What else did they do? There was probably another show. Oh yeah, Agents of the Shield to Agent Carter. Those all make sense in theory. Doom Patrol was always like that C-lister, D-lister team that, like, barely anyone knew about from the comic. From what I read about the Dead Boy Agency, the Dead Boy Ghosts. They're from the Vertigo line, which is also the only other Vertigo series I know they made recently was probably Lucifer and also iZombie, which were very successful in long runs, so I'm not going to say, like, Dead Boys won't have that same result. Because the thing is that they haven't announced it's happening, but there was, like, a production listing, I think, a couple weeks before the season premiered, and there was talks of, like, yeah, we're going to do a spinoff. Even the Twitter was, like, you know, guesstimate, hey, what about a spinoff? That sort of thing. Just on that spinoff presence alone, I'd be down to watch it. They just gave us the right amount of taste. They don't overstuff it. That's the thing. The thing I don't like about a lot of backdoor pilots or setting up, you know, other shows in an episode of a show, The thing I don't like about that is they sacrifice all their time to focus on that spinoff, which makes kind of like, well, it doesn't. It also has to feel like an episode of the main show because it's still the main show. You can't really offshoot and stuff like that. There have been cases where, like, for example, I think Grey's Anatomy had like a moment where like half the episode was private practice spinoff, and the other half of the episode felt like a Grey spinoff. Well, felt like the main show. It worked somehow. You have to find that right balance and through line. Where, for example, Supernatural, sadly, when they did those two spin-off episodes during their main run, they felt more along like, yeah, we're stuffing as much information as we can as for the spin-off, but the problem is we don't get much of Sam and Dean in there, so it doesn't really have that hook to ground it in. So this feeling the case, it definitely follows that like traditional, like, hey, half of this episode, you're getting a taste of these characters, their personalities, their traits, what they're fighting for, their stories, and honestly, I'd be down. And plus, having Dorothy evolve, this would be a great platform to like continue her story in, which honestly, yeah, Dorothy was an integral part to season 2 with her relationship with Niles, but the issue is now that Niles is gone, it would have been interesting to see how everyone else would explore that parentalhood. But the thing is that Dorothy's not your average kid. She looks like a kid, but she's not a kid. She's still a teenager. So she wants to do her own things and figure out like who is she now that like her dad's gone and not like, you know, protecting her. So putting herself out there in the world is a delightful next chapter for her, and I really can't wait to see where they go for that. So just on the setting up the spin-off premise, they did a really solid job. Like, I'm definitely going to stay tuned, and maybe, who knows, maybe we'll do a review series for that. Maybe, who knows, maybe even the Doom Patrol might even show up. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm actually pretty excited for that one. But in terms of like just for the regular Doom Patrol stuff, character-wise, standard, we're giving a little bit of peek of, you know, Jane, Cliff, and Cyborg's psyche, as we're giving Cyborg a little bit more like closure in this half, but also figuring out more stuff for where he needs to go now to explore more with his dad. He's probably going to confront him at some point in the next couple of weeks. Jane having to like really accept the fact that, like, you know, she is the protector for this little girl, and she has to like really not abandon her mission. Like, now, once again, it's hopefully she's more locked in of like she's got to protect them, like not just all the personalities, but her specifically. Cliff is just like, I just love Cliff. I just really do. So if Cliff's stuff is just like more him being an arrogant asshole, I'm perfectly fine with that. That just is more in line with his character. I'm still curious to see. The Negative Spirit is always very weird for me in terms of their decision making process. Like, now that Larry is not with the Negative Spirit, that does open the door to like figuring out some new elements and figuring out what else is there to do for him. So, getting a little taste of just him being as like, he was just like comedy shtick this week. We didn't really get much on his front that much. But again, you get there when you get there eventually, and I have faith that they'll figure that out eventually in due time. Also, yeah, kudos to another Supernatural cameo. Kudos to that. Hopefully we'll come back down the line for that. And I believe, yeah. Who is this mysterious woman? Again, it's been 3 weeks. Like, I'm pretty sure by next week we're going to find out who the heck this person is. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get more answers to these questions soon enough. But for me, honestly, this felt like the Doom Patrol I love. It also, as well as perfectly balancing spin-off potential over here, as well as just figuring out. Also, please, for the love of God, HBO, man, give me the Steel and Stone spin-off when Doom Patrol eventually ends. I need to see that. Or give me 5 episodes. I'll give it 5 episodes. I haven't forgotten about that. I will never forget about Stone and Steel. I'll never forget. So for me, I'm going to give this episode, Doom Patrol, 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it super much. We're back on top. Took a little bit longer to get there than I would hope, but everything's fine for now. Let's see how next week goes. We still have a grand total of 7 episodes to go, so it's going to be a fun next 2 months. So let's find out where things go from here. So I think that's going to do it for me today, everyone, because I have a lot of things to do today. So if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube, reviewing every episode in the 3rd season of Doom Patrol. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's in the Tube besides our Doom Patrol reviews, we're currently doing, starting tomorrow, the Rookie Season 4 episode reviews, which will come out each and every Monday mornings after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on ABC. So that starts up tomorrow. Very excited. It's going to be a big old premiere today. Can't wait for it. We're also doing Heels episode reviews each and every Tuesday mornings after a brand new episode on Sunday nights on Stars. We're off this week because some weird reason. I really don't know, but that doesn't really hinder much at all for us. We're also doing DC Stargirl Season 2 episode reviews each and every Wednesday morning after brand new episode on Tuesday nights on the CW or free the next day on the CW app. And then also, this Friday, normally we will be doing our Doom Patrols Season 3 episode reviews. That's our normal time slot. We were kind of like doing this whole weekend binge thing, so that was fun. But we'll be back on our normal time slot on Fridays, so stay tuned for that. We got even more stuff planned out for the month of October, so stay tuned. I think starting the next weekend is going to be a big one. Stay tuned for that. But again, if you're unaware, this has been What's in the Tube from ActionX. Please subscribe to ActionX on youtube.com/ActionXvideos. Like, favorite, share this review if you want to, but it helps us get it out there to other members of the fan patrol who have yet to discover us. Helps us beat up that YouTube algorithm that hates me ever so much, and as well as sharing us for free here on the interwebs. Bring that bell for notification when our next Doom Patrol review is live, which is now normally every Friday mornings. And please follow us on all our social media feeds. But until next time, for all you members of the Fan Patrol, I hope you enjoyed this weekend of Doom Patrol fun. This was fun for me to do. A lot of work, but I enjoyed it very much. Can't wait to go back to one episode a week, like the normal, brain set on one goal. I can't wait for that. But, again, until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.